Right, you guys have been asking for it, and here it is. We back with Volcano Made Easy. Now, just to start this off, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you. Now, I am at 20% on stage one for this, and honestly, this should be easy to get, and I'll show you guys how. I'm doing 35% here, which is honestly, I probably could have gone lower, but we'll just go with a healthy 35 because again, these numbers aren't really that hard to meet. And then 30% on the last stage, which should probably be the highest, or the lowest, depending on however you want to look at it. But gearing this stage shouldn't be that difficult. And like we'll go over gear here in a little bit, but with those stat modifiers, this was still pretty easy to clear. So let's go ahead and check out the runs. Let's go over some tips here real quick on how to increase your squad's combat power. The combat power is this little number down here that you see. Mine's at 215 for this team. Now the recommended is 234,000. Now we don't necessarily actually have to meet that, but the things that are going to sit there and increase those are going to be your operator, the skill level, the side skill level, and the level of the operator itself, your ship level, all your units, whether their level, if they're all 110, all the TUs that are on them, and then whether or not they're SSR, ASSR, or just SR or rare. The rarity matters on how much everything affects it. The other thing that will affect it will be their gear and the gear level. You don't have to go out of your way to sit there and plus 10 all your equipment. Yeah, it'll increase your squad CP, but it's not necessary. So don't worry about that. All right, so here we are about to watch a dinosaur basically solo the stage. You see A Sigma on the team, and she's going to be helpful a little bit. But pretty much all the heavy carrying is done by this wonderful unit B-side created that makes a ton of PvE content super simple because it just doesn't die. Well, it does, but it's really hard to kill, and it does ridiculous amounts of damage for some odd reason. But yeah, so we're not leading Dino or Sigma, we're leading Dorothy because if you notice, the Choid S2 just went off, we just got the proc, and Sigma's now getting pretty much the full buff on that ulti, which is going to chunk this worm real quick for us. And then the rest of it's just going to be Dino clearing it up for us. Now, Agnes pretty much dies, but she did get a shot off onto the boss, which lowered its defense. And if we're lucky, Soyu will actually be smart and use her special on this boss, though it's really not needed. Now, Maria's there for safety, but honestly, she's really not needed. And you're never going to make it to Regina. Regina's just there to buff our CP so we can get a better, easier time clearing this. I really didn't know what to decide to name on this team. This is either a Hospital Ecclesia with Friends, the Naked Aid Mina. Let's everybody watch Ecclesia solo an entire stage for us. This unit has way too many iframes, and then the stage gives us more iframes. So we just become invincible, and eventually everything will die because there's no healers on the enemy side. And Ecclesia just is gonna do some dumb damage, especially with this ship that's just gonna spawn units to sit there and buff her attack when she ultis, which is great. Besides that, we're just going to kind of hospital our way through this with the rest of our units. And Amina's honestly broken on this stage because where her reactor sits there and says, after a certain amount of hits, then she can eventually die after reaching 1 HP. The environmental damage doesn't count as a hit. So only when the boss attacks or the ads attack. And the boss isn't exactly quick with its attacks. So, you know, so we're okay with that. So she's gonna sit there and live for a pretty long time. Granted, she lived longer if she actually had gear on, but we didn't put gear on our aim unit for this. So the majority of our damage is honestly coming from Ecclesia. In this entire, what, how long are we here for? Like 2 minutes? And you, like I said, yeah, well, like I will say, you can put gear on your aim, you know, don't do what I did. I'm just doing this to sit there and show that you don't need a high CP in order to clear this, as long as you have some form of CDR gear on pretty much all your units here. That is kind of a high cost for newer players, but you gain CDR gear as you go. It's one of the most wanted sets most of the time, so eventually you'll work your way up to that. If not, I have a Swift video, so you can go farm some Swift gear. Check it out on my channel. But yeah, so Ecclesia is pretty much finishing up here as the rest of our units are distracted by some units some enemies in the back. Welcome to the easiest room in Volcano. This is honestly pretty. This is what we call freelo, guys. This team is rather flexible. I'm gonna end up repeating myself, but Casey can be replaced by Alex. You can lead Rivet instead of Casey. Eve can be replaced by a lot of different options as long as it's not a flying unit. Even if it is a flying unit, the flying unit will immediately die and be completely useless, but you'll still clear, funny enough. But let's go ahead and use a useful unit, right? Amelia can be replaced by Gayun. So, and we get way too much in this, way too much DP to sit there and refund our units, too many iframes. Soldiers honestly abuse this with Matador because we stop taking damage at, you know, half HP or low HP, and our damage just kind of skyrockets. Now, this could just be RNG, but funny enough, there's about to be a moment where I was like, seriously? Where all of our units kind of die and get knocked back when the boss is at 1 HP, and then we have to sit here and go through this entire mob. This doesn't happen if you actually sit there and, you know, equip your units, but even still, you'll notice that we have so much DP that we recovered just fine. We'll sit there and redeploy everything. Everybody gets their shields, their more damage, and we'll just sit here and, you know, mow through these guys and finally tag the boss for the little bit of damage that we needed. The first squad, leader is important. You want to make sure that Dorothy is the leader here. This is going to sit there and line up Vivian's proc with Sigma and Detroit S2. There's a whole reason I have this as the leader. But to sit there and show you the gear. Now, Shepard is going to be on Swift A speed. Sigma I have on full CDR Maze. Now I have Agnes on attack speed. The stats really don't matter. She only gets maybe 1 or 2 shots off before she dies, but that does decrease the boss's defense permanently, so it's helpful. Dorothy, again, doesn't really matter, but I have her on attack speed. You can honestly just put whatever gear on her as long as it's just, you know, SSR gear or whatnot. Soyun, I honestly hit auto equip, and this is what it gave me. So yeah. Same with Sinjia. Literally just auto equipped and moved on. You're gonna hear that a lot here. Maria also auto equipped. We were just trying to increase our CP because it really don't need that much, and it's really not that hard. And then the same for Regina. We will never make it to Regina, ever. So you just sit there and throw whatever gear you want to sit there and throw on it. Doesn't even have to be Regina, just any ASSR, and then throw gear on it. For Squad 2, we have Ecclesia and friends. We're using Sysop as our operator so that we can get a nice couple of DP out pretty quickly. For the gear, As you can see, twins don't even have gear on. I had to unequip gear just to sit there and lower my CP to show that it can be done on a lower CP. Ecclesia, I have on tanky CDR gear. Probably don't actually need tank, you can probably go full damage and be a-okay. Carmen's on tanky CDR. Linjian is also on tanky CDR. She really only needs about 40% skill haste, if that at all. Yang is on Mage CDR, just 76. This is pretty much the squad that's going to get all your CDR gear. Just letting you know that. I have the free-to-play set on Claudia right here. Sinjia, I also have on CDR set, kind of a hybrid tank set here. And then Yumina also has absolutely no gear, but I would definitely suggest using something like A speed or any type of damage gear. Squad 3, we're running Matador since our main DPS are soldiers. We're running Hana as our operator to get us a nice little juicy, +1 DP and some skill haste. Now, this team is probably the most flexible of the teams. You can run Alex instead of Casey. You can run pretty much any ASSR that isn't flying instead of Eve. I suggest Ministra. And instead of Milia, you can run Gayun instead. Now for gear here, I'm just running double HP with ground res on Casey. Rivet, I'm just running straight damage. Anti-defender is what you're going to want to run on her. Chinatsu, I'm just running as much skill haste as humanly possible that I can fit onto her. We want her healing as much as possible. On Sorum, I have on attack anti-defender, but just any type of anti-defender, anti-ground damage is going to be what's needed. Same for Administrator Riflemen. I have them on A speed, but any anti-defender, anti-ground. Aureus, I have on a free-to-play set. Well, kind of free-to-play, but basically just whatever skill haste that you can fit onto her. Eve, I have on skill haste as well, since, we want to get her ultis out. She does absurd damage. Her gear really didn't matter, so I just kind of threw a free-to-play set on her. And then I don't have any gear on Milia, so I can lower my CP so that I can do this at a harder percent, because I hate myself apparently. But you don't have to hate yourself. You can put gear on her, which I suggest anti-defender, anti-ground damage, anything of that nature. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope this helps you clear Volcano 20 so you can start farming your death pin and anti-counter gear. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're feeling extra special, you can join the Mage Institute by clicking the join button. You can catch me on Discord, link is in the description. And if you want to help support this channel, there's a link in the description for that too. And as always, I'll see you guys all next time.